Welcome into Inside the Icebox here on the ESPN Houston YouTube channel and ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. I'm Joe George alongside Jeremy Brand. I'm here to talk all things Houston Astros baseball. Today's show is brought to you by Blue Star Tequila, the world's first and only night harvested tequila. You can find it near you at plenty of bars here in Houston and places to buy alcohol at bluestartequila.com. Jeremy, we got a lot to get into. Last week was trade deadline reaction, but the Astros have played handful of games since. As we sit here today, they are only 2 games up on the Seattle Mariners. Spencer Arrighetti has returned to the Astros. Roman Anthony of the Boston Red Sox got a nice new contract that we'll talk about comparing it to Cam Smith. But, Jeremy, I want to start here today. I got 2 kind of betting questions for you.
Oh, I like these.
Who would you bet on more first to make the biggest impact on the Astros pitching rotation this year? Spencer Arrighetti, Christian Javier, Luis Garcia.
What does impact mean?
Who's your Game 3 starter?
Oh, okay.
Like, who's most likely to be the Game 3 guy?
I think it's Arrighetti. Didn't look great in his return, which 4 months for a 4 to 6 week broken thumb that didn't require surgery is kind of curious.
Yep.
I'm the only one that appears to be curious about it. But regardless, I actually thought he showed some flashes, though. Like his breaking stuff was still pretty good. The RPMs were high on it. The velo is about where the velo's at. He was actually getting some whiffs. He was getting some swing and miss. I think he needs the feel. I think he needs the control. Part of those rehab assignments are like, hey, I'm just trying to get back as opposed to actually pitching. So I think that he has the best chance to be good. Javier would be closer to Arrighetti than Garcia. It would be Arrighetti, decent gap, and then a massive gap between Javier and Garcia. Javier's Invisible looks fine. Like I've been looking at the velo and the induced vertical break on the Javier Invisible, which that's the whole reason of the Invisible. That's what defined it, right? And kind of looks like it has that upward movement, where it looks good. It looks good for Javier, but his command hasn't. Like he's walking a lot of guys, so that's worrisome. He's never been a guy that had great control though. Because he has to live on the margins, and then Garcia just doesn't look good at all. Like
No, Garcia. I mean, I think his last rehab start, he was touching like 91.
He's throwing from his ear. Like it drives me
Yeah.
crazy the way they've taught him how to. And people are like, "Oh, you don't know ball." I'm like, "Yeah, probably not." But I still don't like it here. Like I can no ball or not no ball, but I don't like the ball by his ear on his release.
Yeah, I don't know what they've done with him, but it feels. I don't know if this goes back to. I remember when I was producing the Bees. I think was when the pitch clock stuff was introduced, and I'm pretty sure I got a lot of grief about no longer be able to fully rock the baby anymore. But it does feel like they've made some tweaks, and I wonder if it's connected at all to the pitch clock change plus the injury and everything. But the stuff we're seeing in Sugarland from Luis Garcia, I'm honestly surprised to even hear Dana Brown talk about like him being only a week behind Christian Javier because. Like, do you want him up here? It's almost like the way he's pitching right now is more my question. It's not a could he return.
Yeah.
That seems to be the answer is yes, but do you want him to return? It feels like the answer is going to be no.
Yeah, I mean everybody doesn't. You don't put any stock in rehab assignments and rehab starts. I put a little stock in them. Like I would like them to be pitching well as opposed to pitching poorly. Like that seems obvious, right?
Yep.
You want good or you want bad. But like the stuff, like the velo numbers aren't great. The RPM numbers that we've seen aren't great. It's been 2 years since Tommy John, like over 2 years since Tommy John, so like that ain't great. He does have options, so like you could send him back to AAA, like after that whole rehab assignment stuff is done. But hopefully he surprises us. I don't think it's anything to do with rock the baby. Like he tweaked that and didn't stop it completely. He tweaked it before the pitch clock was there. I think it's more the Astros believe in that arm slot. Like Lance McCullers was a little bit more there. I think it saves elbow trouble and stuff like that. But would you rather have a pitcher who's good with elbow trouble or a pitcher who's bad with no elbow trouble?
Yeah, I mean at this point, yeah, you give me the good guy with elbow trouble because they're not going to pay him to be here long term at this point. Like you would not expect to see. I mean, I would be stunned if we saw a Luis Garcia contract come down the pipe at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to finish his contract and he's going to be gone or he's going to get moved at some point. Like he's not going to play his entire career with the Astros unless it ends abruptly at some point. So, yeah, I think for me, I'm still a huge believer in Christian Javier, and I know the walks have been up a little bit in the minors, and it's nothing against Spencer Arrighetti, and it's not because of what we saw in his return start, but I just am such a believer in Christian Javier that even after Tommy John, that's who I would want to bet on the most to be the guy who gets the ball in Game 3 of a playoff series, maybe in a wild card round, in a 3-game series, win or go home. I think I'd feel better with Javier out there, but I think either one would be fine. There's no one else I'm missing, right? We don't need to talk about
I think
colors.
there is. I think there's one you're missing.
Who is it?
Redheaded Tom Glavine, Brandon Walter.
Yeah. What do you think about his elbow injuries?
I don't know.
Because
They said he was throwing again, but like
Yeah.
Dana doesn't mention him as like being on the way back.
that's
so.
why I kind of didn't include him in this because first of all, I know it'd be your answer because I know you have a little baseball crush.
He's been unbelievable.
Yeah,
this
he's
year.
been awesome.
He's been really good.
It doesn't feel like we're getting the close vibes from him.
No, it doesn't. Like he hasn't. I mean, I guess whenever the close vibes would come would be if he's pitching in rehab games again.
Yeah.
So that would have to be the first step, and then probably 2 or 3 rehab starts, maybe 2, since he does have a heavy workload this year already. But no, there would have to be build up for sure.
And the other thing with Walter too that I think makes it a little hard is because of he's the lesser known of these 4 pitchers between Garcia, Arrighetti, McCullers, and Garcia. I do feel like when you hear media ask Dana Brown questions about players returning from injury, and there's all the hitters too, that he kind of gets put on the back burner a little bit. So I wonder if that's even part of it, of why he's not getting brought up. So we'll see. I think if he was back, I think that would be reasonable to think that he could be the 3rd guy. In a playoff rotation, it's just hard to get a read on that right now.
It is, yeah, it is. And I mean, you're running out of time too. Like you're fighting the calendar here a little bit. Like you don't have much regular season left. So, it'd be really cool if like early next week when they do their little rehab or minor, like they do their little injury reports now. Ever since the Yordan stuff.
They're not little though. They're lengthy.
Which I like. I like them. I still have, I think it's a step in the right direction. But it'd be really cool if like next Monday, whenever it's released, it's like Brandon Walters getting set for a rehab assignment. That would be great news. That'd be wonderful. That's way more important to me than Lance. It's more important to me than Luis Garcia.
100%.
Like he's in the conversation with Arrighetti, Javier. Arrighetti, Javier, and Walter to me are in that upper tier. And then the bottom tier is Luis Garcia, J.P. France, Lance McCullers.
Yeah, J.P. France, another one that I think, even if he was healthy, I wouldn't expect to be making a huge impact on this roster at this point. It's nothing against J.P. France, but I just feel like we've seen the initial run was his kind of Linsanity moment a little bit for the Astros. I don't think he's going to be that guy ever again, frankly. The other side, the lineup. Who would you bet on most to make? This one's a little more open for interpretation, I guess, but to make an impact in having meaningful at bats for the Astros in the playoffs. Yordan Alvarez, Jake Meyers, Cam Smith.
I mean, I hope for Yordan.
Yes, Yordan's the one we all hope for.
The most important one there. I mean, if Yordan's back, I mean, Isak is like potential as well. Like, there's a scenario where Cam Smith isn't starting against righties in the playoffs. Now, that would require everybody to return. It would require Yordan to return. It would require Isak to return. That way you can use, like, the DH spot for one of your infielders or use the left field spot for, Altuve or Yordan, however you wanted to handle that. I think the safe bet would be Meyers. Yordan's hands is a mystery, man. Like, he can take live BP and, like, it's hurt again. And if they have one more setback, his season's over. And he's had multiple setbacks. So would it shock you if in the next few weeks, he has another setback? Of course it wouldn't shock you. And he's one setback away from missing the rest of the year. Meyers' calf thing is like, tough, especially the way that they put him back out there so quickly. But I have to trust that he hasn't shown us the tendency, other than being rushed back, that he's going to have, like, setbacks, I guess. So I think Meyers would be my answer. Well, I mean, Cam's not hurt. I'd probably go Meyers, I think.
Yeah, I would conclude Cam because the way he's playing right now, he's been brutal. And we'll talk about him in a contract later here in the show, but he has not been really good at any point over the last month and a half. It feels like it's a couple signs in the Marlins series of things that look positive, but it's been a struggle. And you do think that if everyone's healthy, against righty, like, you might not see him in the playoffs, which is kind of weird to think of where you were to where you are now with him, but it's the reality. It's also what you did at the deadline. Like, Sanchez has made an immediate impact on this team. So the last update we have from Yordan Alvarez is that he's just back in Florida. He's back in Florida. He's swinging. So we'll see. Like, it's just, again, you're right. It's a setback thing. I do wonder if at some point it becomes, is there a pain tolerance? Which I guess we won't really know until Yordan were to return to the field to even be like, yes, I'm still hurt, but the pain tolerance is there where I can play, specifically in the playoffs, have an off day, play the next day. Like, can you get to that point where even in the regular season, towards the back stretch where he's playing every other day, kind of warming up for what the playoffs would look like past the wild card round? That would be the other, I guess, hope with him. Is if at least if you can get him to that point, then he's back on the roster.
I think it's a good way to handle him. I think that you hear Dana be like, "We're going to expedite it." It's like, and maybe he doesn't mean that in the way that, hey, we're just gonna rush him out there and take swings every day. He just might be like, yeah, we're going to try to, hopefully we get him back soon. That might be his way of using the word expedite. But no, I think it's fine to baby Yordan because look, you're still in a divisional race. Obviously, you're in a playoff race. Obviously. You should be able to make the playoffs if Yordan plays 50% of the games the rest of the year. And the whole goal of the season is to win the World Series. So, like, you need to position yourself and put yourself in a spot that gives you the greatest chances of winning it all. And playing Yordan every day the rest of the regular season, I don't think increases that likelihood. It increases the likelihood of you getting the most amount of regular season wins, but it also increases the likelihood of him getting hurt. So I think babying Yordan's fine for the rest of the year. I'd be cool with that. Him being able to play every playoff game to me is imperative.
Yeah, I mean, if you have him back, it strengthens this lineup in a way that even just the threat of him, like even if he's not 100%, teams are going to approach him like he's the threat that he was. I mean, we see that all the time when players who are slumping extremely, the strategy doesn't change. So
this team, I mean, their lineup can be incredibly deep. Like if you just play it out, like, okay, let's not even say Isak, because Isak seems far-fetched, pipe dream.
Yeah, I know I saw Michael Schwab's tweet where he talked to a doctor who's an Astros fan, and this lengthy thing about how potentially he could be back. So I'm assuming Isak Paredes we will see in 2026.
Which even that might be in jeopardy if he's not having the surgery quickly. Like the start of 2026, not the entirety of the year. I think that he could be back, like in a pinch hitting role, like or a DH role, but that makes it very difficult because that means Jordan's playing left and Jose Altuve's playing second, which is feasible, but it seems far fetched. I think that if he does get back, it's more of a bench bat, an option for Espada, which whatever.
Yeah, it's like he's DHing in the ninth. He hits what should be a double. He takes it as a single. And Dubon comes in to pinch run for him.
He's your right-handed Latino Kirk Gibson. Like that would be his role, which would be, I mean, that's fine. Like it's better than Cooper Hummel, although Cooper Hummel would probably go down with Yordan. But if you play it out without Isak and you want to do like the righty-lefty thing, which I think is smart to do, because you have some dudes with like egregious splits. Jesus Sanchez can't hit lefties, but you could split up the lefties-righties. You could go Pena, Sanchez, Altuve, Yordan, Correa, Walker, Yiner, Cam Smith, Jake Myers.
Yep.
Like that's pretty deep. Like,
pretty good.
That's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah, it's a World Series lineup.
Their offense has a chance, and there's a lot of ifs here. Their offense has a chance to be pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Just to think that like what this team could be or could not be. I know we talked about it last week. We talked about it a lot. Just like the word teetering, where it can go really in one of two directions. I think part of that conversation now is that while the Astros rebounded a little bit in this last series, the Mariners are playing good baseball post-deadline, and they're now 2 games behind you in the division. Like they're right there. Their early results from their deadline moves has been largely positive. Where is your concern level with the Astros just pulling away and winning the West, or just winning the West in general?
Probably like a 6. I think the Mariners are pretty real. Their pitching staff's really, really good. Their offense is pretty dang good now, too. I mean, the Astros added Sanchez and Correa, 2 guys who were batting in the top 5 of the lineup. So did they. They added the guy who was amongst the leaders in National League home runs. I think Naylor's a good offensive bat. You put that in there with, J-Rod and Teoscar and the big dumper. Like I think J.P. Francis does a decent job at the top of their order. Like their lineup's pretty good. Their bullpen's good. So I do think Seattle is real. I do think it's going to be a competitive race to the finish. I do believe the Mariners are a good baseball team. I think both teams, though, are playoff teams. So like, even if you don't win the division, you have the wild card there, although wild card round hasn't been something that's been advantageous to the Astros last year, swept in 2. But no, I think that the division race, it's fair to have fear of Seattle, but I still feel comfortable about the Astros' chances of being a playoff team.
Yeah, I think the Astros are going to be a playoff team, even if, the way they're playing right now, the guys, even if they don't get healthier, I think there's enough talent on this roster to where they can still make the playoffs. Some of the teams that are close by, behind the Yankees right now in the wild card race, who are the last wild card team in, are the Guardians and the Rangers are both a game and a half back of the Yankees as we record this. So, and then there's a little bit of a gap between those teams and the Royals. So you've got a good gap on them at the moment. I think it's like 4.5 games out ahead of the last team before the wild card spot. So I'm not too worried about the Astros potentially missing the playoffs. I think it's just, are you going to win the division is the threat. And at the same time, you're only like 2 games back of the Tigers for the second best record in the American League.
What's the importance of winning the division if you finish third?
I don't think it really matters.
I don't think so either. I think that the race for a top 2 spot is actually more important than the American League West race.
Well, let's go through it. So let's say you flip with the Mariners. So you're playing the Red Sox.
Yeah, and the seeding's there depending on record.
So
I guess you would be you would be the visiting team, right? Because you don't win the division. No, if you're fourth,
no, the Red
you
Sox
would
are
host
wild
the
cards.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4th seed would host the 5th seed.
Yeah. So let's say you stay ahead of Boston, but Seattle moves in front of you. So Alex Bregman versus Carlos Correa, first round of the playoffs.
At home.
Where
Boston's not stealing signs.
Yeah. Now, do I prefer a Yankees or Guardians or Rangers? I would say my order there would go, I would want the Yankees the most because we know the history, then the Guardians because they sold and I don't believe in them, and then the Rangers because I don't want to face their pitching. So I do think it matters a little bit because I think you'd rather play.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee that Boston stays ahead of the Yankees either, though.
No, you're right. I mean, it's short. Yeah. It's just as it stands today.
So of those 3 teams, let's go 4 teams. Let's say Boston, New York, Cleveland, Texas. The team that you would least like to see is Boston.
Yeah.
Texas kind of scares me too with DeGrom and Eovaldi.
That's where a 2-game series, DeGrom and Eovaldi versus Fromber and Hunter. It has vibes of what played out last year versus Detroit. It could play out the same way.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a level of intensity around it that it kind of changes. Being versus Arlington, it would be fun. It was fun the last time they played in the playoffs, but I prefer the Yankees.
I guess my point is I rather have a top. This is obvious, right? I'd rather have a top 2 seed than the AL West title. I think I guess a better way to say this is I think that the Astros race with the Blue Jays and the Tigers is more important than the Astros race with the Mariners.
I think so too. And the Blue Jays, it's funny. They scored. I'm gonna do some quick math here.
Okay.
45 runs.
Oh, I saw this.
In their last 3 games against the Rockies. They won 15-1, 10-4, and 20-1.
I'm tired of Colorado baseball.
It sucks.
It's a different sport.
Yeah, but that's how I feel. What we've seen in Sacramento so far, and in Tampa.
But at least those are temporary places.
Yeah.
There's temporary. Colorado is a different sport. You can do what you want with the baseball. Okay, well, they have to have a massive ballpark because the ball travels. What does a massive ballpark do? A massive ballpark leads to more hits, more balls getting down. They've done a pretty good job of lowering the home run rate there compared to other big league parks. But the offensive numbers are astronomical because everything gets down. And then also this, have you ever read up on the Magnus effect?
No.
The Magnus effect in high altitude reduces spin on baseball. So a pitcher, this is why you always see, I'm not getting the break that I thought there. I remember Hunter Brown was pitching there. I had to kind of come up with a new game plan because I knew I wasn't getting the normal spin I get on my breaking stuff.
Interesting.
It's a different sport.
Yeah, it's one, too, where they've just been such a poor, when we talk about across major sports and teams that should relocate, they're an interesting one because the fan base is so incredibly passionate. Even without a good baseball team in a decade plus, they're always there. But the way they operate from their ballpark to dumping Nolan Arenado and for money, and then all of a sudden spending a bunch of money on what ended up being the worst contract in baseball, basically with Chris Bryant. They operate poorly. The players they don't really attract any talent often because people don't want to go there. Even offensive guys don't want to go there because they know they're not going to win.
I think I would just build the best offensive team I ever could. Just spend all my money on offense.
Yes.
And just go like bullpen every single day.
And
Because
just,
I mean, what is the point of like the only way you get pitchers there is if you draft them very early, and their stuff is diminished because they're pitching there, or you have to pay the Coors field tax and overpay on pitchers. Why not just sign like the 13 best relievers you can every year and spend all your money, all your resources, and the best offensive players possible? We're just going to beat teams 20-18.
I'm in a fantasy baseball league, a dynasty, and one of my biggest regrets I've ever made was I took that. He came up this year for a little bit, Chase Dollander.
Oh yeah, the guy from Tennessee.
Yeah, but I'm like, why did I pick a Rockies pitcher? Like what am I doing? Like,
Even if he's good, he's going to have a 4.50 ERA.
Yeah, it's like you basically can only start him when he's on the road. And then it's like, well, still, his confidence can get brutally shaken. It's unfortunate you can't play the Rockies in the playoffs for the Astros. That'd be an easy walk in the park. But yeah, I think I'm with you, though. The Rangers, because of those top two guys, are probably the one team you wouldn't want to face the most. And then I think the Red Sox are right there because of Crochet. Yeah. And then you're seeing other guys in the rotation pitch well also. It's interesting, but but the larger picture, you're right. You got to fight for the top 2 seed. It is more important to pass the Tigers, which is a team that's not playing very well. So if the Astros can get it together while they're getting guys healthy, they can pass the Tigers, and they can have a bye in the first round of the playoffs.
That to me is critical. Like that's why I think that's more critical than like the division race. I think that the race for the top of the American League is more important than the divisional race, because I don't think that there's a difference between being the 3 seed and the 4 seed. But you're hosting as a 3 or 4 seed, and then also who are the 5 or 6 seeds really not up for you to control. Like the Yankees, you could say the Yankees are a better matchup, but they could finish 5th.
Yeah. And
Red Sox could slip to 6th. That stuff changes. So we spend a lot of time watching the Mariners because it's the way that we're conditioned as baseball fans. Divisional races, but I feel like the other race is far more critical, and it's very obvious.
Well, and even like how we started the show with like which one of those guys would you bet on to make the biggest impact? Well, if you don't make it out of the wild card round, if you don't get a bye, they might make 0 impact, like you say Kikuchi did last year. Yeah. Where like whether you win the first 2 games or lose the 2 games, like that third pitcher might not even go until the second round of the playoffs or not pitch at all in the postseason this year, no matter what Spencer Arrighetti or Christian Javier becomes. So you're right, they got to go for the top. You got to pass the Tigers and AJ Hinch, and it feels very obtainable. It's still crazy that with all these guys, I guess we're down to 17 players on the injured list.
Is that what it's down to?
With Arrighetti coming off.
Okay, that sounds right. I think there might have been another one. No, Pena was off too.
So maybe
I think it's down to 16.
All right, progress.
I think it's down to. It's hard to know though because.
But I don't remember if Walter was up to 19 or.
I want to say it's 16.
It's lengthy, to say the least. All right, we'll take our break here. We'll hear from our friends at Blue Star Tequila so they can teach you what night harvesting is all about.
In the highlands of Jalisco, as the fierce heat of day fades into dusk, the sun dips below the horizon, and our jimadores begin their work. Harvesting our precious agave azul beneath the glow of stars, while the night air is cool and calm. Away from the harsh heat of the sun, we protect our agave's freshness, locking in essential natural properties and sweetness, and preserving its unique flavor profile. This world-first practice has been warmly embraced by our jimadores, who relish the soothing embrace of evening's cool air as they work beneath the moonlight. 100% agave azul, night harvested, unfiltered, and additive-free. We invite you to taste the Blue Star difference.
All right, Jeremy, I know you and Joel talked about this on the day the Roman Anthony news came out. So Roman Anthony of the Boston Red Sox gets an 8-year, $130 million contract. I know we've had this discussion as well, but it's just another example of what the Astros could do for Cam Smith. Mm-hmm. Would you give him that, we'll start here, that exact same deal?
No, not the exact same deal.
What don't you like about it?
Well, Roman Anthony's a better player.
Yep.
Roman Anthony's always been better than Cam Smith. Roman Anthony's been a higher prospect on every prospect board that's out there. Roman Anthony, less games, so he doesn't have the counting numbers, doesn't have the homers, doesn't have the RBI, stuff like that. But Roman Anthony's average numbers, his slash numbers are better than Cam Smith. Roman Anthony's a better player than Cam Smith. I saw where Alex Bregman compared him to Yordan Alvarez.
Don't like that.
Yeah, he's like Roman Anthony coming up reminds me of whenever the Astros called up Yordan Alvarez. Like, uh-oh. But no, Roman Anthony's better. I would sign Cam Smith to a long-term contract. I wouldn't equal Roman Anthony because Anthony's better. But if you can bring it down to like 110 over 8 as opposed to 130 over 8, I'd be in favor of that. The only time that I like long-term contract extensions in baseball is when they're very young. When you buy out a few of their free agent years. You know, the Astros didn't sign Altuve when he was a rookie. They didn't sign Bregman when he was a rookie, but they signed him very soon. They signed him early in their careers. And Jose Altuve, when he won his MVP, was making like $8 million. Alex Bregman, you bought out 2 of his free agent years. Those were critical to have on your side. So I'm a huge believer in signing players early. I'm not a believer at all in big money later in their careers, especially into their 30s. So I would have done it with Pena after he was a rookie. I would have done it with Yiner. Maybe I'm on the wrong side of history with Yiner, although he's been better. Absolutely. Like, if you have a general manager that says this player is going to be in the big leagues for the next 6, 7, 10 years, then you should be locking up that player as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think, Dana Brown, he talked about that a lot when he got this job with the Astros, that about doing things similar to the way the Atlanta Braves operated with guys like, Michael Harris and some of their young players that they locked up to really good contracts, and we haven't really seen him do any of that. Like, he hasn't really operated that way. And some of that's been, obviously, the player has to be receptive. Same here with Cam Smith. Like, who knows what his agent views this as.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest, like, I think you'd have to take the temperature of guys like Lance McCullers and ask them, like, what do you really think is going to happen here in 2027? Like, are they going to do a salary cap? Because if they were, I'd try to get my money now if I was a player, just in case that was coming. But a player has to want it. But the Astros also have to be aggressive. And it's interesting that we have seen reports across baseball this year of young future star players turning down these contracts, like Pete Armstrong. He turned down a deal with the Cubs. We're seeing Roman Anthony sign. But the Astros, it's just quiet.
Yeah.
It's hard to really know what's going on in that department.
Yeah, these are always kind of hard to figure out, though. Like, I remember whenever it was James Click, and James Click's like, oh, the Astros are working on Kyle Tucker to lock him up. And I remember, like, all the reports, they're working on him. And then all of a sudden, Astros lock up Yordan Alvarez to a 6-year contract extension. So these things can kind of pop up out of nowhere. Like, I don't think it's beneficial for the team to leak it, for the agent to leak it. So they can just, there weren't any rumors about Roman Anthony signing a contract extension.
All of a sudden it was breaking news.
Yeah, here we go. It's here. I think a good example to use for the Astros as to why you should have urgency of doing it when they're young. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a deadline, right? It seems like there's time. It seems like, okay, well, Roman Anthony, he's got this year and then 5 more. Cam Smith has this year and then 5 more. So it feels like you have time. The problem is, what if you have a breakout like Jeremy Pena? Like, how much is Jeremy Pena worth right now? $30 million, $35 million, maybe more?
Absolutely.
If you would have done Pena in the offseason, he might have signed something for like $20 million a year. So that's why it is pressing. That's why there should be urgency on these young players. Like, if you do it right now with Cam Smith, you could probably get 110, 8 years, the player option, whatever. But what if you don't get it done? You wait around next year, and then all of a sudden at the All-Star break, it's like, oh my goodness, here's Cam Smith. Well, you've lost your chance. It's over. It's done. And people are always like, well, John Singleton. John Singleton cost you $10 million. Like, that's nothing. The people look at the Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez hasn't lived up to his contract. Do you know how much money Julio Rodriguez is making a year?
It's not much.
Like 17.5.
Yeah, and even if they were, let's say, a below average player to what you thought they were going to get, it's not like you can't move it. Like, let's say they would have done the Yiner deal that you wanted to do. It would not have prevented the Astros from calling the San Diego Padres and saying, hey, if you want Yiner to be part of this Cease deal, they still would have taken it based on what he's done in his career. Like, Cam Smith, if you signed him and then he has a bad year and Dana Brown hit the panic button and was like, got to trade him back to the Cubs, they'd still take him because of his contract value. Like, so there's no risk. Like, there's really not.
I think there's little risk.
Yeah.
No risk. There's always risk. But there's little risk.
Because the John Singleton story is not about
less risk.
It's not about the baseball player. It's the off the field stuff that was ultimately the detriment of that. Like, and you can't. That's the risk sometimes. You can't guarantee that.
Well, there's always going to be swing and miss.
Yeah.
Always. Like, no matter what. Like, whether we're talking about in the draft, in any sport, whether you're talking about free agents, whether you're talking about locking up players early, there's always going to be swing and miss. whenever you swing and miss on long-term extensions for young players, the miss is less risky. The miss is cheaper. Mentioned Julio Rodriguez. He hasn't lived up to his offensive potential. He's easily worth $25 million a year right now, maybe 30. He's making 17 and a half. So like the risk is low. The John Singleton, he was $10 million for 10 years. That's a very low risk. But then whenever it's later, like let's say Juan Soto breaks his leg and is never the same. Look at that. What if Shohei Ohtani can never pitch a baseball again, and then also like he loses all of his power in 2 years?
Yep.
Like there's always risk in anything you do. Draft picks, free agents, long-term extensions for young players. But the long-term extensions for young players are going to be lower risk, and they're going to be more affordable when you miss. And in a lot of ways, you can get out of the contract too because it's not so grand. It's not so big.
Someone will take it on. And if you had to eat some of it, you're eating, way less money than you're eating for if you ever had to eat a Christian Walker contract, it's not going to be the same thing. I'm with you. I
look at Verlander and Correa. Verlander and Correa left for lots of money.
Yeah.
The Astros get Verlander at a discount because it's such a big contract and the Mets were out of the race. The Astros got Carlos Correa for 30% off and traded no prospect capital for him because the contract was so bad. You rarely run into that whenever you have the young players that sign long-term deals early in their career.
Yeah, it's just one of those where if the Astros can get it done with Cam Smith, I would highly suggest it. And I think I'm sure there are people out there, fans, who say no to this because they see the way that he's playing right now. But
those same fans would have said no on Pena in the offseason, though.
Yes. It's worth the risk. And I think at some point, Dana Brown should operate, be aggressive with somebody. Because when you think about keeping the window always open, which they proved so well that they can do at this deadline, you do need cornerstone players that are affordable to do that. So you don't have to go into free agency. You don't have to go to the deadline every single season to fix your problems. Like the Yankees are a really good example of this. They've missed on a lot of guys. They've got prospects coming, but they have some really bad, expensive contracts, and they can't do anything. So if the Astros lock up someone like Cam Smith, it gives you a break in what he's eventually going to cost. It secures him into his free agency, and you're Dana Brown. You traded Kyle Tucker for him. You traded for him for a reason. So I'm hoping that by first pitch of 2026, Cam Smith is signed.
Yeah, I would like for that to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we could nitpick the terms, right? Like if he gets more than Roman Anthony, I'd be like, it's too much for him.
Yeah.
But no, I would encourage the Astros to lock up Cam Smith. And I've told you my theory on this. I would have held Cam Smith hostage at the start of the year. Hey, Cam, you want to be a big leaguer? You want to open up camp with us? Here's $110 million for 8 years with a club option for 9. Oh, you don't want to do that? I hope you really like Sugarland.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy that for a month.
I mean, it's totally reasonable, honestly, to operate that way. Those are the rules of baseball. The Astros are probably not going to get the draft pick compensation that we had all thought maybe they were going to get earlier this season. Cam Smith is not going to win Rookie of the Year at this point.
No.
It's going to be an Athletic, I'm assuming. I don't know which Athletic it will be. I think it's Kurtz for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Wilson's on the IL. He's got a broken forearm, and
Yeah.
Kurtz is just blowing by him.
I mean, he is.
That guy's a freak. He's a stud. That lineup is nasty.
If
by
they
the
ever
way.
get pitching,
That lineup's nasty.
they're going to be a problem.
They're going to score 10 runs a game.
I mean, they're building so that when they go to Vegas, they can go into an off season, trade prospects, use free agency money, and they can win in Vegas as soon as they get there. Whenever that is, we still don't know when they're going to be in Vegas, but at some point, the Athletics are not far away from being the biggest threat to the Astros in this.
Need to find pitching.
Yeah.
Need to find pitching.
Yeah.
Even if this shortstop they got for Mason Miller pans out, he's the number 3 prospect in baseball.
I know.
They can be a juggernaut offensively in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
they
it's
might
crazy.
already be.
No, I mean they rake right now what they've been doing. But overall, I mean, what if it's just your thoughts on before we wrap up? Your thoughts on this team, how it's looked with the new pieces, Correa, Sanchez, everything since the All-Star break.
I like it. I like the team. I think they're in a good spot. There are some holes, but I think every team has some question marks. There's not a complete team in baseball at all. Who I guess fills out the rotation for the Astros is probably the big thing. But I think they have options there. Arrighetti's capable. Javier's capable. If Brandon Walter ever returns, he's capable. bulk blue ball as a follower, capable.
He was throwing gas. I didn't know he had that in him.
And me either. And then, their bullpen's good. Their bullpen, Hader, Abreu, that's a good back end, about as good as anybody. They have other guys who've been good, have been solid. And then I think they have the potential to score a bunch of runs. Yiner's been much better since May. Walker's been much better since June. Hopefully you get some help still. Yordan would be your middle of the order hitter. I'd put him clean up. Myers would be a huge impact because right now center field is a little bit of a liability. Myers would solidify that position. So I like where they're at. I think they're in a good spot. I still think they're a World Series contender. Do I feel as confident they're going to hold off Seattle as I did a month ago? No, but no, I like where they're at. I'm still as bullish about them as I've been all year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think part of that too is if you were I guess we can have a quick discussion on it, but I don't know who the best team in baseball is. I don't know. I know the Brewers are playing the best baseball, but I don't buy it. I can't. A guy who's hitting 130 as a White Sox player and Andrew Vaughn is now hitting 390 as a Brewer.
He was a prize prospect.
I know, but to flip like that in one season is crazy. I'm not totally sure I buy into Toronto.
Maybe they're still in signs in Milwaukee.
I mean, they've done it before. They got caught by the Cubs.
I know.
There's a lot of sign stealing happening.
Blue Jays' offense is really good.
It is.
And they have some solid starters. They have some solid guys.
But could the Astros be better than? Yeah, I think so. And then, in the National League, I think maybe the Phillies are the best team at this point. I think they might be the best team in baseball right now, but I don't think there's a huge gap between them and anyone else. And I'm not even sure there is a gap. It's just
I think it's wide open.
It's a wild card this year, it feels like, for who's going to win the World Series.
What's the Astros' range? I think it's eliminating the wild card or win the World Series.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna miss the playoffs. So I think probably going down to the 5 seed, I would say is the lowest you would go.
Yeah.
And then peak would be winning the World Series.
I think so.
Hopefully here at Minute Maid. I'm also gonna go buy some tickets for Monday's game. I've decided.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I want to go. I want to go.
Watch them.
Yeah, I want to see Correa and
Don't you have a show on Monday?
I'll do it. I'll go after. Show's till 7. First pitch 7:05.
Okay.
I'll be there by the end of the first
works.
inning. All right, he's Jeremy Branham. I'm Joe George. This episode has been brought to you by Blue Star Tequila, the world's first and only night harvested tequila. You can find it near you at bluestartequila.com. Remember, Blue Star Tequila also sponsors the Swarmcast with myself and Will Kunkel. It drops on Wednesdays. So thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.